So in 2018, I became the full-time breadwinner for our family when my husband Doug made the decision with me to quit his full-time job to go all in on this YouTube channel, which hindsight is 2020. I probably wouldn't have done that if I had really known like the outcomes of that, and we don't regret anything, but we did that for about 2 years until we shifted gears, pulled the plug, and pursued a different business to where I didn't have to be on camera 24/7. But basically what that meant was I went from being this full-time stay-at-home mom of one little child to basically this career-centered breadwinner, which naturally there's nothing wrong with those things. I still, we split the business 50-50 as far as like workload now, and I'm still career-centered. But being like an efficient housewife was slowly but surely gradually slipping through the cracks. So I found myself eating out a ton more because my focus was on my job. Therefore, I gained 10 pounds because we were eating out like fast food restaurants every other day. Laundry was literally up to my like neck. I mean, there was like a mountain of laundry. I had to hire a girl to help us with laundry alone. And I just didn't do anything efficiently. My focus wasn't on my marriage. My focus was on just surviving financially. And again, I don't regret it because I'm so happy that we're able to work from home through it all now. But I had to relearn what it meant to be an efficient and joy-filled and just like content housewife. And also on the flip side, growing up, I didn't have a mom that was home 24/7. My mom was primarily the breadwinner while my dad was an entrepreneur, and she was a nurse. So she worked sometimes long into the night. I was in daycare a lot. I did a whole video about that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I loved my upbringing, loved my parents, no shade to them, but I didn't see what it looked like to have multiple kids close in age, to cook every meal from scratch, or to have a super clean home. My mom is like my role model for life. She's done everything for me. I mean, it makes me emotional thinking about it, but I didn't see that. So I had to basically relearn what it meant to have a lot of kids close in age, keep a clean house, keep home cooked meals on the table, and not go crazy in the mountains of laundry while also running a business on the side. So I bought literally tons of books. I don't know, they're up in my garage, but these are my favorites. So I wanted to share with you guys today the 10 lessons, or I guess even like common themes that all of these books portray. And the interesting thing after reading book after book after book, and I'm talking about like literally this one is a book from I think the 70s. I mean, definitely, you can tell that girl is from the 70s. The Happy Housewife, so cute, right? The interesting thing is they're all written from authors with different backgrounds. So some are more biblical based, some are more secular. Some are about like being a career woman. Some are about just being a housewife and the mentality behind it. But it's honestly, I found more to do with your mental state than it is actually the systems that you have in place. Because you could have all the systems and you could be like a minimalist and have like no stuff. But if you're not mentally equipped to do this type of job, which it is, like people say one of the hardest jobs in the world is being a stay-at-home mom, then it's just going to be hard. So anyways, if you guys are new to my channel, my name is Haley and I create content all about, I guess, my pursuit of being a happy and joy-filled, content wife who also works from home on the side. So if that interests you, hit the like button and subscribe down below, and let's get on to the 10 things. So like I sort of mentioned already, I could list all of the ways to keep a clean and orderly house and how to declutter, and those things are obviously so important. I need to do more of that, but the root cause of most housewives' problems are really emphasized in all of these books, so we're gonna go through those in the beginning. So the very first thing has to do with mindset. So all of these tips, they're not all going to be about fluffy mindset stuff. Most of them are practical, but this first one is like, if you can fix this in your life, you will have the capability to do all the things outlined in the very beginning of this video. So have a clean home and have a good, strong marriage, have well-trained and behaved children, and all the things that you want. But it comes down to this one thing that every single one of these books talks about, and that is having a victim mentality. So I did a whole video about this. I am like the #1 poster person for battling with a victim mentality. It's easy to fall in the trap of resentment when you are the person that you feel like you do the most. And I'm not putting Doug down, my husband, at all. He literally does probably more for this family around the house and for our business versus like obviously what I can do. So he's amazing. He helps me with everything. But basically having the woe as me approach to being a mom, and those like, I mean, I talked about it in my last or one of my last videos, those shirts that say momming is hard, and basically like your badge of honor, your slogan is like mom life is so hard. When you have that mentality, it makes it hard to literally function on an everyday basis. When you grumble and complain about everything, and when you have that resentment in your heart, it definitely puts a strain on your marriage and the relationship with your kids. I hear this stuff all the time. And in fact, I used to run a pretty large Facebook group for this channel years ago. And one of the biggest reasons I shut it down, a lot of people were really mad at me about that, but it was honestly just became like a husband bashing Facebook group. And I didn't want to be associated with that because it's something that my parents do not do with each other. They've been married like 45 years at this point. So when you go and you complain about how, and I wrote some of the things down, your husband doesn't help you with laundry, or he doesn't do the dishes, he doesn't take out the trash, or even with your kids, like how they ruined your couch, or they don't do enough chores, or you complain that you don't have enough time to do things that fulfill you. Taking that approach really doesn't help anything, and it makes, honestly, your life suck. I know, because I've done it, and I still battle that every single day, and I want to be a grumbler and a complainer, and I want to be overly emotional about things, but it does not help. So the other thing that I sort of wanted to mention here, and this is not going to be for everybody, obviously, but I've tried my hardest over the last probably like year to year and a half to really pursue God's plan for me. So regardless of whether you're religious, all the tips aren't about, being a Christian or being religious, but this one helps me so much because I know, according to the Bible, which I believe, that God's plan is for me to support my husband and to raise my children. And that is what my main role is in life. So putting my husband's and my kids' needs above my own, regardless of how I feel or how many hours of sleep I've gotten, and choosing to have a happy attitude on an everyday basis is helpful because I can lead by example. So when I lead by example in like doing my best to, serve healthy meals, my husband wants to now serve healthy meals. Or when I do my best to have a happy attitude and not grumble and complain about cleaning the house, my kids see that and they want to, kids want to have peace in the home. They don't want to constantly feel negative. Happiness is also attractive to your husband. So not nagging him and basically modeling the behavior that you want to see lived out through your family members. So the second tip that I got, especially through this one, Large Family Logistics, is dress for success. So this is something that I sort of have a hard time with. I know you're like, well, you look good, right? I mean, you look put together right now. And I tried today, obviously, for this video, but I'm not going to lie, on an everyday basis, especially growing up, my family didn't really model this. We all kind of just slopped around the house. We'd wear pajamas all day long. And I kind of like that like more chill, laid back vibe. That's just my personality. My personality is not to look like this every day. Let me tell you, I wear normally I'm trying not to, but normally I'd wear like sweats or like nothing very like put together unless I'm going out. I guess my natural inclination is to know, well, no one's going to see me. Like, why do I even care? But it matters for being a leader of your household. Outward appearance is a reflection of your inner self. At least that's what these books have told me. And I know that that is the case. Looking the part of a leader, So when you take time to make sure that you look the part, other people are going to respect you more. Your husband's going to obviously find you more attractive, and you're just going to feel more equipped to run your household. So for me and what that looks like, I try and dress, I guess, feminine, whatever that means to you, every single day. So I wear girly dresses and I try to like slap some makeup on. I try to do my hair. It doesn't happen every single day, but I know on the days where I actually put my best effort forth, I just honestly have a better day. I don't know why, but it just happens that way. The third tip that I got, which is like a obvious one and that people talk about over and over, but it is being fit and strong physically. So this one I've definitely had to work on, okay, especially after my third baby. For up until like last week, I was 10 pounds overweight, which to some people isn't a lot, but to me, I'm 5'4", I can definitely tell a difference. I have 3 more pounds to go, but I totally let myself go in that way. I was literally eating like dessert after lunch and dinner, and I was having way too much of a portion size at each meal. I was drinking my calories, and regardless of the fact that, you want to keep yourself physically fit to be attractive to your spouse and your husband, besides that though, I find that being physically strong and healthy and a good weight also keeps me mentally strong so that I have enough energy to do the laundry, or I have enough energy to be, intimate with my husband at night, which I know is like so TMI, but I have enough like energy for the things that matter in life, like running and playing with my kids and being a wife that is able to keep up a clean home because I'm not overweight, or because I don't drink like sugar at night that keeps me up until like 12 or 1 a.m. So now I try to eat and this is not just from me, this is like from what I've literally learned in these books, but now I try and eat a low like amount of starchy carbs. So like breads, I try and keep at bay. This has really helped me just lose like the almost 10 pounds. I'm almost there. I don't drink a lot of sugary drinks. I will just have like iced tea and water. I also up my protein to where I can actually have a good amount of energy throughout the day. I don't go to Pilates. I don't do anything that I probably should in that way. I don't do like rigorous exercise on the TV. I just make sure I walk like 8 to 10,000 steps every day after dinner. And I find that that helps me stay at like a really stable emotional state, because I'm not having like blood sugar spikes with sugar all the time, and not having enough protein, to where I can manage my emotional state as a woman and a mom, and I don't snap at my kids more, and I get enough sleep. So the fourth tip that I got from all of these books is to be prepared and unafraid. So a lot of people, and this is me, okay, to a T, but they have so much fear and anxiety over the future, and they're not living in the present. You know, there's like cheesy quotes all over the place, like live in the now, live in the present, enjoy your life now, don't worry about the future. And it is true. And I find that being anxious and having anxiety and being afraid of like the things to come, I just found for me personally that I was putting more effort, you know, having the emotions of anxiety and stress and fear. I should have basically redirected my focus on how to be more prepared. So this looks like so many different things depending on what your struggle is in life right now, but you can be so anxious financially because maybe you have like a ton of debt and no savings, or, you know, your husband hates his job, he's on the cusp of quitting and you have to take over as a breadwinner. That wasn't our case necessarily, but we've had a lot of anxious like vibes around the house with finances, knowing where we're gonna live, knowing like what is best for our family. So rather than feeding into that anxiety, we now make a point to sit down as a couple and actually create a plan for the future and redirect our emotional energy on that. And also making sure that your goals align as a couple. So for instance, now I'm gonna be like super transparent with you guys right now, but Doug doesn't care. Last year, I wanted to continue renting this house and I'm very risk tolerant, obviously. So put most of our money into multifamily rental properties and do that for a couple years to where we can retire by the age of 40 with like true passive income. That is my idea of what I want to do with my life. I'm an entrepreneurial type, and that's what I like. Now, my husband, Doug, was not for that plan because he wanted to enjoy and live in his 30s. He's got a lot of hobbies. He wants to race cars, and he didn't want to do that. He wanted to own his own home and delay that a little bit more so he can live life in the present. So as you can tell, we have completely opposite vibes, okay? We are like very opposite in like what we want to do with our lives in that way. So we had to recenter. I decided to give that up because it's not like the end of the world for me to retire by the time I'm 40, obviously, and shift our focus to basically accommodate what we both want to happen. So setting goals with your spouse and feeling prepared as a housewife financially and even on a day-to-day basis and being aligned in those goals is going to help not only your marriage, but also help you feel like you are making progress on an everyday basis. And like a lot of people say, progress is happiness. You know, getting to your destination and having that success with like a clean home or like having happy kids, whatever, that's not really what people say is happiness. It is progress. So making moves on an everyday basis towards something that you both want. So the fifth thing is creating systems. So this is something that's always thrown around, especially in like the motherhood YouTube niche. And I always was like, okay, is that really going to change my life? But it actually does. So what this looks like is what I did is I wrote down, according to what the books told me, I wrote down all of the sources of stress on a daily basis, like the literal things that I have to go through every day. So for instance, my hallway was always cluttered in dirty clothes because that's where the bathroom was, that's where the girls' rooms were and they would just throw their clothes like on the ground. I was throwing my clothes on the ground, and then I would just have this gross hallway full of like dirty clothes. I know that sounds nasty, and I guess it was. So instead I bought a family laundry bin, and I'll link it down below, I'll show what it looks like. And now I just trained my kids and I trained myself, and I made it a habit to now put all of our dirty clothes and walk it into the master bedroom and put it in that one bin. So I didn't have like 10 bins around the house of dirty piles of clothes. The other thing that we started implementing as far as like a system is because I started to feel resentful, which is my own fault, okay? But I started to feel resentful that I had to clean 3 times a day, everyone's mess. We all live at home and are at home every single day. We homeschool and we run our business from home. So that is a lot of cleaning on my part. And my husband, he helps me. He'll do like, whatever I need help with, but it's not his natural inclination to like clean clean everything. He will totally forget about it. It doesn't bother him. So I was starting to feel resentful. So instead of doing that, the books basically told me to create a system around that. So now we all clean as a family after every single meal. Everybody goes to their assigned corners. So we're not like floundering. And my 3-year-old is like, this is too overwhelming. I can't help at all. I don't want to help you. And this is a terrible chore. Now she knows she just cleans the dishes with me. Not really, but she helps rinse them. And then my 5-year-old does one countertop and my husband does the dishwasher and I sweep the floor and basically like oversee everything. So we do that 3 times a day. Everything gets done. Everybody knows their job and their task and nobody's feeling resentful and overworked. And of course we make it fun. We like choose a playlist of music that we all sing together, have a little chant. And I know that's cheesy, but our kids are obviously still very small. And we do that 3 times a day. Another thing that we started doing every single day, especially because it's light outside in the summer till like 9 o'clock at night, or I don't even know later, they never want to take a bath. They want to play outside after dinner. So we switch their bath time to before dinner. And if they take a bath, if they're in good moods, obviously they get to eat no matter what, but they get their dinner and potentially like, I don't know, we can do something fun as a family after dinner instead of taking a bath that they used to hate. Another source of stress for me was I could never find the time. I mean, I never made the time to work on my business in the way that was required for us to get ahead financially. So I made it my point to give my kids a system for nap time to where they are self-sufficient. So I would make sure that I made it an effort to pour into my kids throughout the first half of the day to where at nap time, they would not like in a bad way, but they'd leave me alone. They'd be self-sufficient. They're sick of me. And I had like 2 hours to myself to work on our goals for our life. And the last one has to do with having less stuff. So I literally gave away 50% of our clothes, 50% of our toys to where it's just easier to manage and easier for us to clean up every single day. So the 6th thing that I learned in being an effective housewife is this like follow me mentality. I would complain about the house being dirty. So then obviously they would complain about the house being dirty. They didn't want to do their chores because I didn't want to do my chores, or I didn't want to eat healthy food because I was tired and depleted and woe is me attitude. And so they didn't want to eat salads and healthy food. Or I would talk back to my husband, I know, shocker. And so they would talk back to their parents, you know? So if you want your kids to be obedient and happy children and children that are like excited to help you, then you have to model that behavior. So the 7th thing is less is more. So like I said with the systems, one of our biggest struggles was having too much stuff in the house. So having too many clothes, having too many toys. It would take like 30 minutes just to clean one room because it was a disaster. And so now I've gotten rid of like 50% of our toys. I've gotten rid of 50% of our clothes, and we make sure that each room can be picked up, the whole thing, guest ready within 10 minutes or less. If it's over 10 minutes, then I just get rid of more stuff. The 8th thing I've learned is that you have time for everything with a schedule. So I've become a schedule Nazi. Normally was never this way. I'm like an A+ procrastinator and I save everything to the last minute. But in order to have a full-time business and a clean house and 3 kids that I homeschool, I have to be a schedule Nazi. So I actually schedule our days in 30-minute increments, which I know sounds horrible, but I love it. I love feeling in control. I love to know that my kids are getting and meeting all the needs that I have to give of myself to them, and I'm getting ahead in our life. So if you find that your life is monotonous and you don't have time for your friends or your old friends that you used to hang out with, which I still hardly do, or you aren't doing anything fun with your kids, schedule it in. So we actually took like an hour last week and we scheduled, this is random, but we scheduled camping trips for the next year. So campsites are super hard to come by in Southern California. They're like really, really pushed out into the future. The reservations are insane. So we scheduled all of our camping trips for the next year and all of our trips in general. The same thing for date nights, the same thing for like social activities or outings with your kids. Put them on the calendar, book them, pay in advance, do what you have to, but make sure you schedule those things. The 9th thing is huge, okay? And it's a simple concept, but if you find that your kids are being defiant or dragging their feet when you ask them to pick up their room, or they don't want to help you out willingly, and you're like, how can other people, get their kids to help them out? It's probably because you're not in a negative way, because obviously we're all pulled in different directions as moms, but you're probably not pouring enough of yourself into your children. So nowadays within my schedule, I know I want my kids to help me, but I also know that if I give of myself unto my kids, they will give back to me. So the first half of my day is 100% dedicated to my kids. Obviously, once a week, I will like film our days or something like that, but that only happens one time a week. The majority of the week, I am like on with the mom mode. So I am homeschooling them. I'm creating new activities. I try my hardest to be like the Pinterest mom. I'm not perfect, but I make sure I read to them. I play make-believe with them. They're only 5 and 3, so that's easy, and 1, obviously. So that during the second half of the day, they are more apt to help me. They're more apt to give me time to work on my business or to clean out the garage with me or to help me make our meals. Pouring into your kids really prevents defiant behavior because you are giving of yourself unto them. So the very final 10th thing that I learned through these books is to try your hardest to keep your house a source of peace and tranquility, which I know it's like, duh, Haley, that's what everybody wants. But oftentimes you just steamroll through your days and it can be really chaotic. It could be a lot of yelling. I mean, that's sort of like what the American household is. You know, it's kids that go to school, and nothing wrong with that. You know, it's a whole different subject, but kids go to school, they are behind on their homework or they're behind on their chores. They don't want to help mom and dad. They're very tired. They're depleted at the end of every day, and your house is not a restful place. So making sure that you keep a clean home, you have less stuff, do whatever it takes to make sure your home is a warm and inviting place. Also, so that if your husband does work all day, he doesn't come home and everybody's yelling at each other and mad. I'm just going to go through a couple of these. I know this video is so long to show you guys like which ones I like. So the first one is sort of to do with homeschooling. They're not all about homeschooling, but this is the 5-hour school week. I already mentioned this in my video about why I feel like this is a controversial one, why schools are failing and why we decided to homeschool, even if the fact that we were never homeschooled, we know nothing of what we're doing. I'll link that video up here and down below. But yeah, the 5-hour school week, so good. It's basically a like really condensed version of schooling and how it's better for your kids, better for your life, inspires creativity, and lets them live out their childhood. I love this one, and I love following her on Instagram as well. Another one is very controversial. Okay, I'm like, I didn't even know if I want to put this in the video. I got this recommendation from a rando lady on Instagram. So before you all slay me in the comments, I didn't know what I was reading, but I'm going to mention it because I like it. Okay, so this is a book called Created to Be His Helpmeet. So I mentioned this book like casually on Instagram story, and I got some lady telling me that she's so disappointed in me. She's unfollowing me because apparently the people that write this book spank their kids. I don't spank my kids, but you do you, okay? And yeah, I still got a lot of value from this book. And I don't know. This is the thing. It's like you read books from authors that are in all walks of life. I'll read a book on Jeff Bezos, but I don't like the way he maybe, and I don't know this obviously, but maybe hypothetically, I don't like the way that he, like punishes his kids or the way that he has like several different failed marriages, but I still like his book on business. So I don't know how they parent. This book is not a book on parenting. It's a book on how to be a Christian wife, and it's really raw. It's straight to the point. This lady is not sugarcoating anything, but I really liked the book. So I haven't read the parenting book that they wrote, but I do really like this book. I don't know. Come for me if you want to, but I got a lot of value from it. I really like that one. So another one is The Power of Motherhood. And these are like old books, okay? Talking about how to give enough time to each child, home of hospitality, so many different things in that one. I've mentioned this one like 100 times on my channel already, but this is Charlotte Mason's Laying Down the Rails. It's habit training for children. If you want your kids to help you around the house, you have to train them. It doesn't come naturally to anybody. And you even got to train yourself. It's like a habit to wash your hands after dinner. It's a habit to clean up after yourself and all those things, or wash your hands before dinner is what I meant to say. Another one is so good. I'm currently like almost done with this one, but this is called Large Family Logistics, the art and science of managing a large family. I don't really consider myself having a large family. I only have 3 kids. I think this lady had a lot more, but this really breaks down like every single thing you need to know about managing a house successfully, like from cleaning to meal planning to what else? Like afternoon chore time. Yeah, so I'd really recommend that one as well. So I'll link all these down below, but thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you got value from it, subscribe, like this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.